We trust the process. That's what it's about. We had two friendlies in June. We had another one against Benin, but we didn't have as many playing time. And I think it's the gelling together of the team that takes a bit of time as well, because you're also preparing. You're also playing against an opponent that analyzes you, so you've got to come up with something else. And I think the first game, I think the heat for both teams played a huge role. By 65 minutes, if the intensity of the game went down. I think the Mali game, we started slowly. And I think we ended well. The game had probably gone on 10 minutes longer. We probably could have gotten a result. I think the Mali game was more about making sure that we're in top and making sure that we start really well, because it was important. And I think the goal came very early. In the Tanzania match, we had a chance. In the Ghana match, we had a similar chance in the first 3 minutes, and if you score there, it changes the whole complexion of the game. You're then a little bit more in control of the game. You can then dictate matters, and it didn't happen. And it meant us chasing and chasing. So in the Mali game, we took control right from the word go. We tried to nullify the threats, but tried to stay in control for most of the time. And we were able to manage players better because we had a 2-0 lead. In both games, we tried to also manage players because we know where we're coming from with a league that started late, with players that are coming off season, with players that had just finished the season. So we were trying to manage the minutes and trying to manage the load through all of that as well, because that worked for us in 2022. So yes, there was a lot of criticism, but we trust each and every one that we put on the field, and we felt that against Tanzania, we had a good enough team on the field to get a result. Unfortunately, they started really, really well. And similarly, we made 5 changes again for the next game, and we got a better result. We were back to being us, moving the ball around, our movement off the ball, playing the way we wanted to play and dictating the way we wanted to. And we wanted to get not just a good result, but a good performance, because it also changes the mentality, it changes the mindset, it gives us the momentum going into the next game of having a good result, but also having a good performance, because you can play badly and still get a result. And that is the beauty of this team, that they can grind it out as well when they need to grind it out. But the business end is now. You win, you go through, you lose, you go home. So we all know what's at stake, because we're also playing against an opponent that was in a very difficult group, that came out of that difficult group. And so you're not going to underestimate any team. I've said it before, the rankings don't mean anything, because you can beat all of these teams here and you maybe move up by 2 spots. But when you play, teams in Europe, they can go across in a bus and play each other, and then their rankings go up because they are playing higher ranked teams. So it's not fair on the teams on the African continent though. So the rankings mean nothing, because when you look at every FIFA window this past year and a half, each and every team was playing. Even outside FIFA windows, you saw teams going into camps. So the football has improved on the continent for women's football, and it's good for women's football, because you also see the players from the African continent going to the best clubs in the world and not just sitting on the bench. They are regulars, they are top stars there. So everything has changed, and that's why you also see all the scouts out here for a reason, because everybody's looking. I get many calls asking for African players, because the quality that they bring. That's how much the game has changed. And if you underestimate the team, before you know it, you're chasing the game, and then you can't get back into the game.
Linda, sorry.
I don't think my role changed a lot, but for me, it's just whenever I get the chance, it's put in the work, and every game is going to require different ball play. So I just think I just go with what the coach says, and also I go with how the game goes.
Look, as I said previously, you underestimate a team at your own peril. Even though you lost to Morocco, you lost to Zambia, it was very tight games. It could have gone either way. You never gave up. You played until the game ended. So you are a team that's never going to give up. You are going to go till the end. So we have to make sure that we nullify everything, that we make sure that we control everything, because as I said, it's the end where one goal can decide the game, and if you are not on your game, you could be going home. That's how big this game is now. So we have to make sure, as much as we're analyzing Senegal, they will be analyzing us. You don't just play against a team nowadays that knows nothing about you. And yes, we played them last year, but we don't take that into account. It's a completely new game, it's a completely new competition, it's a completely new part of the competition where you either win and go through or you lose and go home. So if you underestimate the team, we're not that team. We're not that team that's going to underestimate any team. We've seen it happen. The last World Cup, you didn't know who was going to win the game. I mean, you had the number 1 ranked team in the world not getting out, going to the last 16, but you had the number 1 team in the world struggling throughout the competition. You had Brazil not getting out of the group stage. And if you underestimate a team, you will go home. And that's not what we're going to do. We're not going to underestimate anyone. It's 11v11 on the pitch. You've just had your striker signed for top club in the NWSL. It says how good your team is. It says how good your team is, and if you underestimate that team or any team, then you're in trouble. So we're not going to do that. We're going to look at the all-round performance. The result sometimes is not a true reflection of a game. It happens like that. I didn't think that the result would be 4-0 between Senegal and DR Congo. I thought it would be much closer. So the result doesn't influence the way you play, because you can play really well and still lose the game, and you can play badly and still win the game. So we have to take everything into account and make sure that we don't leave no details out for players to understand what they're up against, who they're playing, what their strong points are, who their key players are. We have to make sure of all of those. And when we get an opportunity, we obviously have to put it away, because might be a very tight game. It might be a very open game. It depends on the tactics of both teams, but it's a game where you know that if you don't score, if you don't win, you're going home. And we don't want to be the team going home. So we have different plans of how to deal with different situations, but obviously I'm not going to tell you that now. You'll just have to wait until the game. We have ways of dealing with that, and then they have ways of the way they have to deal with us, because we're not going to bring that tall strength, physicality that they expect from Zambia, DR Congo, etc. But we have a plan, and if we execute the plan well and to our ability, then we should be moving on to the next round.
Linda, you were part of the team that played away in Senegal, the 1-1 draw and the 2-0 win. What do you know about them from there, and perhaps what you've seen in this tournament? And coach, 7 different goal scorers. Can you expect more goals in the game tomorrow?
Yes, we've played Senegal before, and they are a very good team. They are growing, and like Coach Des has said, that African teams are really growing. And looking at when we played friendly and now, there's a huge difference. And like Coach said also, there are players that now have signed overseas, which says a lot about the team. And I think Senegal is looking really good, but we have a plan as well. We're not going to say it now. We'll just see when we get to the game.
But how they improved has been tremendous. So, like she says, we have a plan, but we have to execute that plan. Your question was?
7 different goal scorers.
Look, we're happy that it's not one player that's scoring all the goals, because it becomes easier then to be able to nullify a person who's scored 4 or 5 goals. So we're happy that we've had different goal scorers, because our goals come from in different ways. One was a set piece, one a free kick, one was a penalty. I think there were transitions, there were high presses when we won the ball, so it was all different types of goals. So we're happy that we have different goal scorers and that our goals come from different players, because it's much more difficult to try and strategize, for a lack of a better word, to try and strategize on, let's play the striker out of the game because she's the one that scores all the goals. So it's a lot more easier, but we don't concentrate on one individual. You concentrate on the whole team, because an individual doesn't score the goal by themselves. You got to see where it starts, how it leads up to that, what you can do to break that down, what you can do to prevent that. So you then concentrate on the whole team, but not on the one individual, because otherwise, if you just concentrate on the one individual, somebody else steps up and takes the shine while you're busy trying to stop one player, somebody else is taking the shine. So the analysis is broader than just concentrating on 2 or 3 individuals, it's concentrating on the whole team. Look, our team is about teamwork. more than anything else. We have good individuals, but individuals can't shine on their own. They shine within the framework of teamwork. And that is what we base our ethos on, is everyone works for each other. If there's a bad ball, make it look into a good ball. If someone's out of position, step into cover. If someone is not there, you step in. That is our ethos, is teamwork. Because yes, there's good individual players, but they're not going to play on their own. So I did not say that it's going to be difficult to beat Senegal. I said it's going to be a tough match. I said Senegal are not in the quarterfinals by fluke. They've come out of a very difficult group, and they're here because they deserve to be here. So we've got to make sure, that they're a serious threat, and we've got to make sure that we nullify all the threats that they have, and then take control of the game and to be able to get the result.
Before if it happens?
No, we don't leave anything by chance, because immediately after the quarterfinals, all our training sessions, we've taken penalties. You have to at least make players comfortable in being able to take that. Yes, it's a different scenario because there's no pressure. But if you practice, it gives you permanence. It doesn't give you perfection, but it gives you permanence, and you're able to have the trust in doing it. It's the same as taking a free kick. You don't just step up and take a free kick. You practice, and sometimes it doesn't happen for years, and then all of a sudden you score 7, 8 free kicks in a row because it's getting comfortable with it. So we've been practicing that. We don't leave anything to chance. Obviously, you want to finish the game in 90 minutes. I think both teams want to do that. If you can't, in the extra time, and if it does go to penalties, we want to make sure that we also give ourselves a chance by making sure that we practice that, which we have done over the last couple of days. I think we wanted to stay here as much as we could, because the disruption does cause a bit of mayhem, having to move, having to pack up, having to travel, traveling fatigue, all of that. But I think when you're in the quarterfinal stage, I think the mindset changes completely, because you know it's going to happen, whether you like it or not. And you know it happened in the past where you have to travel. We were at the World Cup, we had to travel from New Zealand to Australia, had a match to -1, had to play. So the players already know what's going to happen if they had to travel. And I don't think the mindset will change. I think the mindset will still be very high in, yes, we're in the quarterfinal. Yes, we have a chance to win. Let's stay strong, let's be positive, irrespective of whether we're traveling. So I don't think that will play a huge role. But for us, it was comfortable to stay here. The people have been very friendly. We know the stadium. We know the weather. We've played on the field 3 times now. And that does help a lot. It brings familiarity. So hopefully that can also count in our favor.
They're really not easy, and it takes a lot of practice, until you, even if when you go kick it, it feels like you in a training field. So, but I must say they're not easy. Yeah.
I think the pressure of taking that in a game and the magnitude of the game also brings a lot of mentality in that, because taking penalties in training is a completely different scenario, and you cannot simulate a game situation, but what you can simulate is familiarity, comfortability, picking your spot, being sure, and that's what you can. But like you says, when players walk up there, I watched the penalty shootout against England last night. I actually knew that Lauren James was going to miss. I could see it on her face. She didn't look comfortable. She looked very nervous. The way she stepped up too, I didn't expect such a poor penalty. But the way she stepped up, you could see that she wasn't comfortable in taking that penalty. But that's what pressure brings. It's never about me, it's about us, always about us. I think the team comes first before any individual. I think when we talk about teamwork, that's what we talk about. The technical team working so hard with the training sessions, Coach T, with the analysis, Tabu, with the goalkeeping, Coach Kemi. I mean, we've kept 2 clean sheets, so big ups to the goalkeeper coach. And of course, the conditioning coach. We didn't have a lot of time, but I think he's done a good job. So it's a team that works together. If the team doesn't do well, unfortunately, I'm on the red carpet because I'm held accountable. But I think teamwork is important. If individuals shine out of that, it's because of the team. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's the players, and that's the reward. But we don't think about the awards and the rewards. We think about the team coming first, because that is the most important thing. Team first, everything else after.
Reaching the quarterfinals, we know it's kind of like a do or die match, and I believe that as a team, once we have our A game, I believe that no team can stop us, and I think that's what we're working towards. And yes, all the group stages games that we've played, we've been slowly getting into the games, and I think Mali was the kind of sign that we are able to get into our best, and I believe that, like I said, we're growing into the game and getting in, playing against Senegal. I believe that just being at our best, we'll be able to win the game and hopefully not get to the penalties. Yeah.
In your match, and then for both of you, from the opposition, who stood out?
I think even the changes that they made, they didn't change the way they played. They stuck to who they were, similarly to what we do. I think that is also important. You know, they didn't change anything when they made the substitutions, still the same style, still the same everything. I think sometimes having a team that goes playing straight through can be a good thing and a bad thing. It can be a good thing where you have this collectivity, this connectedness. It can be a bad thing where they're being overloaded and they're not getting enough rest or for that. So it can work two ways. We maybe do it different to what they do it, and it works for them. And the way we do it, it works for us, you know. So it worked in 2022 where we got a good result in the first game because you always have to start well. And then we were able to rotate because we wanted to keep our players as fresh as possible for the knockout stages. And that 2-0 at halftime really helped us to do that because there's a few players that have played 90, but not everyone. And we wanted to manage that, knowing where we came from. Look, we never like to single out individual players, as I said, because yes, the leading scorer's got 4 goals, but if you look at where it all comes from, so yes, she scored, but leading up to that, they have key players in certain areas that get to that point. They have players around her that creates those opportunities for her. You know, similarly with the other striker as well. They work together in tandem, but everything leading up to that makes those two in front look good. So if you just concentrate on those 2 players, you then lose focus of who else is bringing that threat. And I think we analyze the whole team, their strengths and their weaknesses, and I think they do the same. Yes, they look at the individual players, but they do the same because without someone else helping Linda's not going to be able to do what she's doing. So we don't necessarily look at that, but we look at the strength of the individual, of course, you know, but more than that, we analyze the team.
Yeah, like the coach said, I also won't single out any player. I would have done that like when we played against them last time, but now, like I said, they've improved so much, and yes, they've got very good strikers, but also they've got very good midfielders that do their work, like they run the whole 90 minutes, but so are the defenders that will make sure that we feel their presence. So I wouldn't single out any players.
Linda and Des.
When we were able to watch games when we were not training, we watched each and every game that we could. Unfortunately, our training starts at 5. Our training starts at 5, so we'd probably be able to see the second half of the match as well. But we don't necessarily change our trainings to watch matches. We just see what's in between and we watch those because you can always go back and have a look at the highlights, etc. But we try and watch most games because we want to see, you know, how the game has grown, what other teams are doing, what trends are there in the game, etc. You want to see different things and you say, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. But we don't change our training to watch a game. We're going to watch it as a game up until we decide what our result is, and then, because we don't want to lose focus of what we have in front of us first. If you're looking at that and you're saying, oh, I want to play this one, I want to play that one, but you still have a game that you haven't won, you're losing focus of that particular game. And for us, we're going to watch the game as a game, not analyzing it as such, because we still have a game to play to be able to get to that stage. So we want to make sure that we get the result first before we concentrate on whoever we need to play.
Yeah.
So
Last question.
Linda, I know you think, so my idea is like, you have, for example, Barbara Banda going up against Asisat Oshoala in terms of them being some of the best players we have on the continent. So for you as a player, when you finish training, you don't want to be in trouble with Des, how are you going to watch the game? You know, like, is it admiration? Is it inspiration, you know, from this kind of mindset?
For me, it's just, I'm going to watch a good soccer match for me. Because like you said, they've got really individual players, but so are other teams, you know. So for me, it's more about watching good football. And like coaches said, African teams are really growing, and it's about that, watching good football.